Today, we're going to be talking about tagging wars. If you've been in a B2B SaaS company and you sell to the enterprise or the mid-market, there's a good chance you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's dive into it.
We're at war, son, and it's our duty to serve.
All right, hey guys, Bill Masitis here, former CMO hero at Slack, CMO at Zendesk, and SVP of Marketing at Salesforce. My mission here at SaaS CMO Pro is to educate, to nurture, to enlighten marketers, CEOs, VCs on modern SaaS marketing. So I was on a call with a CEO recently, and we were talking about their fiscal plan for the next year and how they wanted to make some changes and how they thought that, maybe marketing had some challenges and, marketing and sales. And one of the things that the topic was brought up is that these teams were basically, had a lot of conflict. They were fighting each other and they were spending a lot of time on tagging. They were getting into tagging wars, right?
You okay?
I'm tagging it now.
And you will see this. This is a phenomena where when you have a B2B SaaS organization and you have multiple different groups within the company, maybe you have a marketing team, you have a sales team, you have a partner team. And what ends up happening is because of, I would argue, bad attribution, you will get into tagging wars. And the tagging wars just simply, some team saying that, oh, this big deal that just passed, we're the ones that should get credit for it.
I deserve this.
A lot of times this ends up happening because a lot of B2B SaaS companies only used first or last touch. And first or last touch is this methodology where you're saying, hey, the very first activity that someone did is going to get all the credit for this deal. Let's say it's $1 million deal, they're going to get all the credit. Or the very last thing they did before they bought gets, all of the million.
He sold mine!
What's crazy too is in B2B SaaS, and especially we're selling to mid-market or enterprise, we all kind of intuitively know this. These are longer deal cycles. These are 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. But what ends up happening, again, if you're just using that first or last touch methodology, there is tremendous pressure to get that last spot or get the first spot so you can show in your numbers that you're doing great, no matter which team you are, right? Whether you're sales, marketing, part of the partner team. And what ends up happening too is that we like to think that these journeys are very neat and clean and there were, 3 marketing interactions and marketing gets all the credit. But what a lot of times happens is they will have a couple marketing touches, then they'll have a sales touch, then they'll, maybe a partner also, saw them in an event or something. And you have all these teams being tagged. And so, you get into tagging wars.
Tagging is when you claim that money.
Some teams will literally try to, they'll try to express their worth by influenced pipeline, right? So basically influence pipeline just means, hey, you had at some point in time in that journey, you had a touch. And so you're going to say, hey, we threw this event, 100 customers showed up, and you'll say, hey, all the pipeline of, all those companies that came to the event that eventually sold, we're saying that was us, right? And influence kind of is I think it tends to be used as a misleading metric, right? It's like, yeah, that was a part of it, but it was one touch overall. The biggest thing I recommend is get really good at multi-touch attribution, right? This is the concept of basically looking at all these touches, these 10, 20, 30 touch journeys that a prospect will have and using algorithms, AI to figure out how that credit should be apportioned out, right? Because what you'll find is if you look at really large data sets that you'll see certain channels do end up producing larger deal sizes or maybe a shorter deal frame. Maybe you're bringing the right qualified type prospect, right? So they have a higher net promoter score, whatever it is, right? And it will use that, kind of the AI regression analysis to properly split up that $1 million into little chunks, right? Across all. That solves a lot of it.
We split even.
Other things that I found that help solve that and not having all your teams waste so much time on tagging wars and trying to make sure that they get the credit is have shared metrics. It's one of those things where I get we want to have accountability and we want to have each team have goals and this or that. But what I found is the practical reality of that is these teams end up just fighting a ton and they're all trying to prove that they drove more than the other ones. And they kind of this, sometimes this myopic view that, hey, this prospect only interacted with us, right? So we should get all the credit. But really, if you look at, and I've dived into this, where you look at these long journeys, and they're going across multiple channels within marketing and then multiple channels within the overall company. They're talking to someone in partners, they're talking with someone in sales, right? So, and if you're doing outbound, was that first touch, they get all the credit. What if this deal ended up taking 3 years, right? Is really the really first call gets all the credit there?
I was first.
I don't know. When you move to shared metrics, though, I found and I really think more B2B SaaS companies should be doing this, is hey, the marketing and the sales team, just share the same metrics, right? Have that same ARR goal that you're trying to get. They have that same closed new business deal that you're trying to get. Have the same expansion revenue goal within your existing customers, but share that between both of them. Then it's not about the tagging part of it. It's more about hey, are we actually bringing these people in and nurturing them and educating them? And also you avoid these type of things where some teams just stop, right? So for instance, marketing teams, a lot of times when they're only metriced on leads, they can do everything they can to get a lead in. And then the minute that lead is done or handed off, it's I'm not focusing anymore on that.
I'm done here.
Whereas I would argue marketing has a key role in getting people from lead to close business, right? Marketing is good at content, they're good at campaigns, they're good at targeting, they're good at automating a lot of this. So they can nurture and educate these leads that are already there and help with sales to close that business. Or even after that person's come in, half of SaaS revenue comes from expansion, right? So, add-ons, new product lines, more seats, more usage, right? For most, B2B SaaS companies, that's going to be a huge chunk of your revenue. And so again, do you just hand that off to a customer success person and say, you're the one that's doing all that? Or again, can marketing come in and help with that, with campaigns, with content, with education, within product messaging, and work with them together to think about what should this be as a journey, right? Realizing this isn't just one thing they do and they buy a new product. It's a lot of education that has to happen. That's much more efficient than just doing one-to-one knife fights the entire way, right? You're having a systematic journey and you're thinking about it. And again, since both teams are in it together, they're not fighting, they're thinking about just the end results. The cycles are going to that. They're not going to making sure everything is tagged and you get all the credit and my report shows this, but your report shows that. So anyways, tagging wars do exist. If you're a CEO listening to this, if you're a VC listening to this, just know that they are happening, especially when you go higher up in the market, as your company gets bigger and increasingly amounts of time is absolutely wasted on this. I've seen it. And, maybe consider some alternatives. Consider thinking about getting really good multi-touch attribution. So again, you don't have to, these teams aren't fighting so much. You're letting the software kind of tell it. Or think about shared metrics, right? Think about how marketing and sales and partners can work together, and they can cheer each other on and help each other and not, devolve into this tagging wars.
Could live in harmony.
So anyways, I would love to hear from you guys. Have you seen a lot of tagging wars in your time? Was it a waste of time? How have you found getting around it? Put them in the comments below. I definitely read all these. I love hearing about this. And thanks again for joining SaaS CMO Pro.